So California, I lived there for 20-some years, 24 years, and these fires that keep happening. We saw the Palisades, we saw the fires, all over the place, the tens of thousands of acres, people's families, stories, memories, homes that they grew up in that's been passed generation to generation, completely gone, right? You're right on the water. This is environmental. You're in a state that this guy had a $24 billion surplus. Now he's at $17 billion deficit that he has, the governor who wants to run for president in 2028. What can the EPA do? Because it doesn't seem like California is doing it. It doesn't seem like Newsom is ahead of it. What can the EPA do to help the Californians who live there, who love their state, who don't want to leave, to not have to go to sleep at night wondering what the hell is going to happen with my house if another fire happens this summer, if another idiot goes out there and drops a match or a cigarette and then boom, we're being negatively impacted by it. What role can you play as a head of EPA to help out Californians?
Yeah, there's a lot, and we've been doing it. And President Trump, when we talk, he often speaks about California and specific ways to be able to assist, from getting water to those areas that need it. Many conversations about water, many conversations about prescribed fires, forest management, planning for the future and the way that the rebuild is done. So President Trump got inaugurated, as you remember, just a few days after the wildfires. He comes in, he signs an executive order right away, and he says, EPA, you have 30 days to complete your hazardous material removal phase 1 so that the Army Corps can come in for their phase 2 debris removal. The immediate response was that is impossible. You'll be lucky to be able to complete this by the summer. There was over 13,000 properties that were destroyed. But President Trump signed an executive order declaring that you're going to use Trump speed and you're going to get it done. We figured it out, got it done in just under 30 days. The Army Corps came in. They have since completed their phase 2 debris removal. The federal government has done everything that is needed to be done in order to allow all of these residents and businesses to be able to rebuild. The slow rolling of all of the permits that are coming, the lack of green light that so many of these property owners are waiting for from the city, the county, the state, it's bullshit. It is so frustrating to watch. I can't even imagine what it's like for the people who actually live there, because I was there the week after I was confirmed. I was in the Palisades. I was like right away. It was days later. And I was visiting houses where the contractor was already at the house. The contractor is ready to rebuild the house. This is like 3 weeks after the fires. And now we're having this conversation. It's the middle of November, and people are still waiting for their permits. I mean, there's all sorts of words that I'll keep in my head so I'm not insulting those who don't want to hear me dropping F-bombs. But I'm telling you, it really gets your blood pressure up when you think about it. And then you hear Gavin Newsom go after President Trump, saying that like the federal government hasn't done anything. You look at everything that the EPA did to complete the hazardous material removal and all the lithium-ion batteries and all of that work, all the debris removal that the Army Corps did, everything that President Trump does, rallying the Army Corps, EPA, Bureau of Reclamation to make sure that water is moving from dams, that reservoirs are full, that you have water to be able to fight fires. EPA has been working on deregulation, on what's called exceptional events rulemaking, on state implementation plans, on what's called PM 2.5. Like there's technical rulemaking that we've been working on to allow these Western states to be able to lean into forest management. They shouldn't be forced to put an area into non-attainment because you're doing a prescribed fire. We should encourage the prescribed fire to prevent the larger wildfires. Something that was frustrating in Canada this summer, there were these massive wildfires. And, I was happy that Canada was engaged in good communication with EPA. We'd ask questions, they'd provide updates. But strategy was just to let the whole thing burn. And they were just monitoring their critical assets. And as long as it wasn't going to touch a critical asset, just let it burn. So they let so much of their country just burn. And then I'm at the G7 2 weeks ago, Energy and Environment and Ministers conference in Canada. And by the way, Canada they're very good hosts, and we had a great conference. And there was a lot that was done there that was amazing. It's a very different approach where you let you let so much of your country burn, and then you go into this international setting and you're telling the world, we just had our second largest wildfire in the history of the country. It's like, yeah, because you didn't put it out early enough.
What can you do to overlap those permits, though? Because these guys are losing their minds. They don't want to leave the state. There's some people that are like, you don't want to take care of me? I'm going to go somewhere else. And they're done with it, right? And they'll go to Texas, or they'll go to Nevada, or they'll go to Arizona, but they want to leave California. But the other 95% don't want to leave. They want to stay there and make it work. What can you do? What can we do to overlap and say, hey, here's what's going on with the permit? Is there a way to say, this is a crisis that we had, because of that, the government's stepping in and they're accelerating the number of permits, and here's what we're doing with this? I was with a Goldman Sachs event 2 days ago in Dallas, and the governor of Oklahoma was there. What's his name? Stitt?
Stitt.
Stitt, yep. Yeah. Very, very impressive guy. I think he's got one more year left as a governor of the state. He was there, and he said something. They had a rule that if, in the state of Oklahoma, if the permit isn't given within 30 days, you can't get paid for it. So he created, and maybe, I'm paraphrasing what he said, is so you're not given a permit, you're not going to get paid for it. So you got 30 days to get paid $600, $800, $500. If you take longer than 30 days from the day the person asked for it, boom, we're gone. You can't accept payment from it. But what can we do from the top to make the situation better for Californians that were directly impacted by fire and prevent future fires? These are two questions I want to ask.
What would you say? Well, so the first part is the federal government has given a total green light. Like, there's nothing that anyone is waiting for from the federal government. The roadblock is at that local level. And I mean, first off, there's ways to go to the courts, to try to get judges involved. You have elections. If somebody is not doing a good job, you could boot them out. But the EPA does not do zoning permits for a house on a corner of the Palisades. Now, we will do our part to help make sure that every single possible roadblock that can ever be in front of you that the federal government is responsible for, can help with, is cleared. And it's been cleared. Everything has been cleared totally, as far as everything that's required of the federal government. But I, as the EPA administrator, I don't have the power to say, okay, your mayor is not giving you your permit, but this EPA permit to rebuild your house.
The White House can't overlap. And so let's just say, does that mean locally I have so much power to abuse my constituents and my voters and my citizens and destroy their lives?
The problem is the flip side. So when Obama was in office, he got so heavily engaged in local zoning issues and getting into, all sorts of, minority requirements. And in New York, Westchester County ended up in the courts, got overturned. It is a very dangerous road to go down to allow the federal government to get involved in these zoning decisions, because when you have a President Obama and his housing and urban development, when you have a President Biden or, God forbid, a President AOC, what it means to say that the President of the United States has the ability to engage in those zoning decisions, the courts have already weighed in and said no because of what they did in the past. Now, if there is any way, maybe where you're not getting stronger with the zoning, you're getting looser in some type of an emergency, that's a question that I can ask. And instead of trying to shoot from the hip on something that I don't have the answer to, I can ask.
Yeah, the percentages of permits, if you see how long it's taken, the stats are...
It's insane.
It's insane when you're seeing that. Yeah, and these are
It's
not
like a taking of property.
If I'm running the state or the city, I'm like, you want to get back in and stay? You're not wanting to leave yet. Dude, accelerate it. Accelerate it. Give them the permit. Let them go do what they're building. Why are you lagging it? You have a customer that wants to do business with you. They don't want to leave you. Why don't you make their life better instead of them finally saying, screw it. I'm going to take this money that I have and I'm going to go build it elsewhere. I don't understand the process of what they're doing there. Lastly, on this fire,
Okay, one other point, by the way,
Please.
is that on the flip side. So let's say there's a President Obama who is there's a fire that hits. The power is given to the president to be in charge of like these zoning and permitting decisions. They will then claim power to take. Okay, we have a single family home. And it's a community of single family homes, which is basically what we're dealing with in LA. And they could say, okay, with the power invested in me, like using that as an opportunity to rebuild where like you can't be rebuilding as a single family. So I think one of the important questions, taking what you and I are talking about to the next level to research whether or not a power would ever exist, it would be important that you couldn't change the zoning where you're stripping away a property right. I think it would be very important how you do it, because if the Democrats were in charge and you set the wrong precedent, and they had the power to change that zoning, they would be rebuilding local communities how they see fit in a way that would strip away private property rights.
This is catastrophic. If you're running a state and you don't want to lose your job, business owners, your job creators, they'll leave. They'll go to a different place.
Yeah, and they are.
Definitely they are. When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.